Emotions and memories are pivotal to Final Fantasy VII, and our beloved characters aren't the only ones going through emotional journeys. We go through them as well. The mystery and intrigue we feel when we discover the truth about Cloud's past, the pain we feel when we see Barrett, Tifa, and Red 13's past experiences at the hand of Shinra, and the heartbreak we feel when Aerith's life is taken by Sephiroth. These characters' narrative growths and arcs are forged in the fire of their experiences, their emotions, and their responses to these memories of the events. What the remakes do is double down on a lot of these and expand on these elements. Fate itself, the planet, and the Lifestream going through their own type of emotional journey as well, and we are seeing people like Sephiroth trying to manipulate the planet's memories to change the course of fate to his favor, and the planet doesn't really like that much.
Destiny comes.
And there have been some recent movies that I think shares a lot of these similar storytelling concepts, these elements being emotions, memories, and crafting a sense of self, and that's the Inside Out movies. The main things I want to talk about here are Cloud and his emotional state and his lost sense of self, how I feel the songs Hollow and Promises to Keep kind of tie into these points I want to make a little bit, and the direction I kind of think the third song's going to go into to tie these themes together, and the concept of core memories and sense of self and how that ties not just into Cloud, but things like the White Materia, Black Materia, and what that could ultimately mean for the Lifestream and Fate itself. So yeah, we got a little bit to cover here. So if you've been around my channel and subscribed to it, or you click this video, you probably already are aware what Final Fantasy VII is, but you might not know what Inside Out is about. So let's run through that pretty quickly, and of course there's going to be spoilers for both the movies and Final Fantasy VII coming. Now Inside Out is a Disney Pixar movie. I know, scary. The plot of the first movie is an 11-year-old girl Riley is moving, which can be an emotional difficult process, and Riley's dealing with a lot of various emotions that come with that. And in Inside Out, you see Riley's mind as like a control center, and there are a handful of emotions here like anger, sadness, fear, disgust. You mainly see the emotion of joy as being the dominant coordinator who constantly guides Riley towards experience the most joyful and positive emotions she can. However, a new emotion appears, and that emotion is sadness. Sadness occasionally will not just take control of the console and create new memories, but can also change how she sees and perceives old ones. So as we know from Final Fantasy VII, Cloud isn't in the best place emotionally, and occasionally, much like how we see some emotions take full control of Riley's control center, an oppressive force takes over Cloud's control center, and that oppressive force is of course Sephiroth. Sephiroth tries to trick Cloud into thinking he is something else and something he isn't, and Sephiroth also brings in a whole gambit of negative emotions. Things like sadness and anxiety could alter Riley's perception of previous and past events, and Sephiroth pretty much does the same thing with Cloud, and he changes the way he perceives past events, like telling Cloud how he never felt anything when he saw Biggs and Jesse died.
Anger. Regret. Guilt. Nothing but empty words to you.
Sephiroth even manipulates Cloud to act how Sephiroth wants him to. Things like attacking Tifa and making her fall into the Lifestream, changes Cloud's behavior in the Temple of the Ancients, which turns Cloud into a cold-blooded killer. You also see Cloud act almost like a drug addict when trying to give Sephiroth the Black Materia. Now, if I was to tie an emotion to Sephiroth here, it actually wouldn't be anger, even though that is something he heavily tries to push on Cloud. I would actually be more akin to something like despair, and this concept of despair is going to be pretty important when we're not just talking about Cloud getting his sense of self back, but also when we talk about Lifestream developing its sense of self. But we'll get more into that later on in the video. Now, Inside Out 2 is where I think some more important pieces start coming into play, the sense of self and core beliefs. Joy was the one originally crafting a sense of self within Riley, using positive memories to craft her core beliefs and create an overall positive and kind sense of self. But once new emotions like anxiety and embarrassment come in, kicking out other emotions, purging old memories, and changing previous memories that were good and positive into more anxious memories, you see Riley's sense of self change for the worse.
I'm not good enough.
What?
I'm not good enough.
This is extremely similar to what we see Sephiroth do with Cloud and Cloud's jumbled mess of memories and emotions.
I'm not like him. I'll never be like him.
We know. It's okay.
Now, where Riley is actually trying to develop her sense of self, however, Cloud has lost his sense of self. And like how we see Riley is controlled by multiple people, those being her emotions, Cloud shares with Tifa, and probably one of the best scenes in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that Cloud feels like he's being controlled by multiple people, and this is a source of pain for him because he feels like he doesn't know who he is anymore.
It's like there's different people inside of me.
Yeah.
And the worst part is, I can't even tell where they end and I begin.
Yep.
Go on.
And while Cloud and Riley are both sharing this journey of discovering their sense of self, I also think the Lifestream is going through something similar in that there are a lot of people at the console of the Lifestream trying to change the Lifestream's core beliefs, change the Lifestream's memories, and through that they are changing the direction of fate and destiny. But like I said, we'll talk about that a little later on. For now, I want to talk about a couple more things with Cloud specifically. So when it comes to Cloud, as I mentioned, Sephiroth represents despair, but who are these other emotions going to be in Cloud's console and who are they? Now, I'm not going to talk about every emotion or try to pin one to every single character in the party. That would be a little too on the nose and cheesy in my opinion, but I am going to talk about 4 main ones that I think will be important, Sephiroth being one of those 4 with despair. Now, while I can use in-game events to show my thoughts around these other 3, I think I'm going to use another important piece of media right now, and those are going to be the main marketing songs related to those games, the first being Hollow. Now, when I first heard the song, I was kind of simping for Zack at the time, and that's immediately where my head went. I thought right away the song was actually about Zack, and I thought about the final scene in Crisis Core and him trying to reunite with Aerith, and I was wrong. The creators have said the song is actually directly about Cloud, and from there everyone in turn online says that the song is about Cloud reaching out to Aerith. But I kind of think we're both wrong in what we thought. Now, in the original soundtrack booklet, Uematsu says that the song reflects Cloud's inner feelings. Quite the topic for discussion right now, huh? He later goes on to say that in the song he wanted to show the struggle of a man trying to escape a destiny he ultimately can't. A man standing outside himself, looking in, disparaging that he is powerless and alone. And this man is searching for a way forward, frustrated and desperate. Basically a guy who lost something important to himself. Now again, most people say this song is clearly about Aerith, but we got this song in the first game and Aerith was completely fine in the first game. She hadn't been lost yet. So I don't think the smiling face that Cloud is metaphorically reaching out to in the song is Aerith at all. I think Cloud is reaching out to something he lost within himself, which without makes him feel empty. Cloud is looking for a lost emotion or set of emotions, and those emotions are hope and to an extent confidence. When Cloud was young, he was full of confidence and hope. Hope that he would be a soldier so that he could protect everyone he ever loved, or at least that's what he promised to Tifa. And we see Cloud to continue to have confidence and be hopeful even in Crisis Core, despite the fact that he does a make soldier. It wasn't until the events of the Nibelheim reactor took place that Cloud seems to have lost his confidence. Unfortunately, Cloud doesn't remember these events, at least not correctly anyways. But even after he fell into a coma, there was a person who was trying to nurture those feelings of hope and confidence within Cloud, and that person was Zack. Now, hope and confidence aren't really emotions. It's more so a set of beliefs in yourself, but I think they serve the same purpose here. Where Sephiroth represents despair to Cloud, Zack represents hope and confidence, and without hope and confidence, Cloud feels, well, hollow. Cloud is lost without the hope or confidence to guide him. He wants to see that smiling face of hope and confidence once more, but he doesn't know how to get it back, and he knows those feelings are long gone, and he's howling for it, hoping that these feelings will hear his howls in the void inside him and return to him one day. I think Cloud knows he wants this, as when he went to the edge of creation in Remake, he created a false memory or false world in the Lifestream where Zack survived, and that gives Cloud hope that he can regain hope and confidence again. Something, of course, Sephiroth, who is despair, would love to again take away from him. And this is just a new perspective of the song I'm hoping to offer. I know most folks want this song to be about love lost and Cloud reaching out to Aerith, and it still can be, but I feel like that whole love lost thing with Aerith is more the next song's for, No Promises to Keep. Well, sort of. Now, where Hollow is sung from Cloud's perspective, No Promises to Keep is sung from another person's perspective, and that person is obviously Aerith. Now, I'm not planning to get into some shipping wars here, which will probably happen anyway in the comments, but for me, Cloud and Aerith's love was always a wrong place, wrong time type of deal. We will just do this again in a different life type of situation. But like with Hollow, I mentioned Cloud lost hope and confidence. And here, this song represents Cloud losing his feeling of love. Through meeting Aerith on the cobblestone streets, he started to remember what love felt like because he had that initial spark with her. I don't feel like the song is literally about Cloud and Aerith reuniting and taking each other's hand in love forever and never letting go of each other, because I think Aerith in this song actually just represents the emotion and concept of love, and Aerith wants Cloud to be able to experience love again in his life, just not necessarily with her. And she wants Cloud to remember what love feels like, and regardless of who he shares that love with, he should never let that go. But when it comes to the third game and what the next song will be about, I think it's going to be focused around the idea of Cloud remembering who he is, and I have a Tifa motive thrown over the song, so we'll think the song's about Tifa, but kind of about something else. Now, big spoilers for the next game is that Cloud's going to be remembering who he actually is and figure out all the events in his past. And this event's probably going to display extremely similarly to how Tifa traveled through the Lifestream in Rebirth and remembered her past. I think when Cloud's going to go through these events though, it's going to be a bit different. I think we'll see Zack come in and remember those events, and he'll try to fix Cloud, but he'll fail. And I think we'll see Aerith try to do the same thing and fail, but just like in the original Final Fantasy VII, the main person who brings Cloud together again will be Tifa. I want to talk about this more in a little bit, but I think it's going to be more relevant to when we start talking about the sense of self in the Lifestream. And Tifa, of course, is going to represent that fourth emotion. I'm not exactly sure what that emotion would be called, but I do know there's a lot of restarting words that kind of go on with the theme of remake and rebirth that follow into that theme, like recollection, remembrance, and reminiscence. I know it's a bit of a stretch with the song theories here, and I'm sure I might get roasted in the comments for them, but I just think the thread of these songs isn't that Cloud's in love with Aerith and the songs are all about her, but I think the connection between all the songs here is that Cloud is disconnected with various emotions and aspects of his personality, and these emotions and feelings that he's lost are represented through various characters in the songs that are important to him. Now, as mentioned, as Riley discovered her sense of self and Cloud is rediscovering his sense of self, I think the planet is also going to be working on discovering its sense of self as well. I've also talked about in another video how I think Sephiroth's goals have changed in more detail, but in a nutshell, essentially Sephiroth with his new Arbiters of Fate powers from the remake, it's allowing him to readjust events and create new memories in the Lifestream and for the planet, which can lead to changing the course of fate and destiny, for better or for worse. And much like Cloud and Riley have had people taking control and messing with their minds and their emotional states, Sephiroth, Aerith, and Zack are now messing with the memories and taking control of the console of the Lifestream. And just like how Anxiety and Joy fought over Riley's control console, I think that's happening in the Lifestream, but we see that manifested through the concepts of the Black Materia as well as the White Materia. Now, while Sephiroth is going on his journey creating these false worlds and false memories for the planet still remembers who it is and is fighting back, and that's what the Whispers represent. It's like they're the planet's immune system. And just like how Sephiroth manipulates Cloud's memories, he's doing the same thing in the Lifestream with the Dark Whispers. We even kind of see this battle going down physically when Tifa is lost within the Lifestream herself. And we're most likely going to see this manifest again when Cloud goes into the Lifestream. As mentioned, I think at the edge of creation, Cloud created a world of hope, similar to how Aerith created one for Cloud and herself. And Zack is going to try to travel to these worlds and bring them hope, because that's just something Zack does. And Aerith's probably going to help him do this. Ultimately, it's probably going to end up being a big battle of the Lifestream of Despair versus the Lifestream of Hope, aka Lifestream Black versus Lifestream White. I do think when we see Cloud fall into the Lifestream again and we see that scene of his where he remembers who he is, Cloud is going to meet with Zack, and Zack's going to be the one who kind of pieces together some of those lost memories he has. Aerith will do the same thing, and more importantly, I think she's going to go through her death scene with Cloud, and we're not going to get that muddy, confusing version of the scene like we did in Rebirth. This will kind of force Cloud to process the scene and sort of let go. Now, call me crazy, but we've seen that classic scene of the White Materia dropping a handful of times in the remakes already, and it's a famous scene. It makes sense. We've seen it a lot. But I have a feeling that when we're retreading on these moments, he's probably going to be influenced by Sephiroth. He's going to start turning that memory of Aerith's death into a much more negative memory for Cloud, in turn strengthening the Black Materia. And I think that under Sephiroth's influence, he's going to make Cloud think that he might even be the one that killed Aerith. And we're going to see that scene again of the Materia dropping, but the Materia is going to be black instead of what it originally was. I honestly feel like we're probably going to get this from a gameplay perspective where Cloud is sort of losing himself and struggling with himself, and we'll probably end up fighting Sephiroth, who represents despair, with Zack and Aerith on a team as hope and love. And that'd just be a fun boss fight to do where we get to work with Zack and Aerith on a team fighting Sephiroth. Now, even though this team up between Zack and Aerith taking on Sephiroth in a boss battle will be pretty cool, I think ultimately they'll kind of fail. And that will be, of course, when Tifa comes in and sort of saves the day and makes Cloud remember who he is. And even though Cloud is processing this sad, heartbreaking moment, Tifa will be the one that kind of guides Cloud into seeing and remembering death scene as more of a positive shared experience of a memory. Kind of like how when a loved one passes, but you still had a beautiful memory of the journey you had together, and overall it becomes a positive experience, even if it is sad. And once Tifa, Aerith, and Zack push Sephiroth out, and it allows Cloud to process this event correctly and process it in a positive way, we'll see the true scene where the White Materia does drop, but we'll also see where Cloud actually lays Aerith to rest and lets her go in the water, and it'll show things how they really went down and how they're supposed to be, not the wrong version that we saw in Rebirth. And where all this Lifesteam White and Lifesteam Black stuff put us at the end of the day, maybe all this will just end up taking us back to the original timeline, and the new remakes ultimately create this big circle connecting us to the original content. Honestly, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think after everything goes down with these new remakes, we're probably going to get a new Lifestream, maybe a slightly more positive one, since the original timeline is a pretty grim and despair-filled place already. And of course, the planet's going to want to resist this change, even if it would be considered a positive, because that would mean the planet would have to let go of its former self, its former Lifestream. And that's why the planet's going to keep fighting us until the end, using the weapons and trying to defend itself. It wants to keep that original timeline intact because it's known and it's safe. It doesn't want to take that chance of trying something new because, well, an unknown journey can be pretty scary. After all, that's something Inside Out taught us. Or was it Remake?
If we succeed, if we win, we'll be changing ourselves. I guess maybe that's why I hesitated.
Anyways, Inside Out depicted Riley's journey of finding her sense of self. I think Cloud is going on that journey, as well as the Lifestream. I also think Sephiroth is going to go on a version of this journey as well, as he tries to separate himself a little bit from Jenova. Kind of talked about that in another video, but I don't really want to retread on that too much here. And I think as more First Soldier information comes out, I'll be able to go into that a little bit deeper, as a lot of it focuses on Sephiroth and his true self and how Jenova corrupted him. And that's something I'm working on, is making little chapter summaries of those First Soldier chapters, because I think there's a lot of fun information in there that not everyone is experiencing because it's hidden behind a gacha game veil. But yeah, my closing thoughts are, I think memories, emotions, and core beliefs have always been a very important part to Final Fantasy VII's story. I think now not just the characters are experiencing those storytelling elements, and just like how Cloud reawakened, the Lifestream will go through an equally painful process, but through the work of Aerith, Cloud, and Zack, creating more positive memories overall in the Lifestream. This will allow us to not just stop Sephiroth, but also create a new beautiful Lifestream that Square can use to tell new, fun, and exciting stories with familiar Final Fantasy VII characters. Or they can just make Final Fantasy VII a cash cow and milk it forever. But if you liked what I had to say here, hit the button, leave a comment. If you disliked it, do the same. I like getting the feedback and arguing, more or less. I am working on more mainline Final Fantasy reviews, First Soldier summaries, and hopefully theories when interesting ones pop into my head. So if that sounds interesting, please subscribe as well. But as always, drive fast, take chances. Later, nerds.